Hi, this is Terry with Tree Marie Soapworks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this soap. It's a line pour, or you could also call it an In the Pot Swirl. Stay tuned to the end of the video and I give you some tips to set you up for success, and also I give some Tree Marie Soapworks news. Let's get started. First, I start by using about 1/3 of my water weight in distilled water ice cubes, and then I top off the remaining water weight in cold distilled water. Today I'm adding powdered sugar or icing sugar to my water at a rate of 1 teaspoon per pound of oils, and I just use my cordless mini mixer to dissolve it completely. I do this to help my batter stay fluid for a little bit longer, so I usually use it with a fragrance that I'm not familiar with or with one that is known to speed up. Next, I measure my lye or sodium hydroxide, and this is where you need to be very careful. Always wear safety gear and wear it the whole time you're dealing with the lye and then the batter. So I wear gloves, I wear long sleeves, and I make sure I have closed-toed shoes on, and also eye protection is very important, so I wear safety goggles. Next, I add my sodium hydroxide or lye to my distilled water, and I stir that until it's dissolved. And by adding these ice cubes before, that really helps to eliminate the fumes. You get kind of a chemical smell when you add lye and when the lye heats up. So by causing it to heat up less, it causes less of a chemical smell. When your lye is completely dissolved in your water, I measure out my sodium lactate, and I measure that at the same rate as I measure my sugar. It's a rate of 1 teaspoon per pound of oils. When I finish with these, I set them aside in a well-ventilated area that's free from any kids or pets. Now that my lye solution is cooling, I measure out my hard oils, starting with my coconut oil and then my palm oil. And this is no stir palm oil, and for that reason you can just dip it out of your container and you don't have to completely melt the whole container and mix it up and then pour it. Next, I melt these hard oils in the microwave until they're just barely melted. While I'm microwaving my hard oils, I go ahead and measure my liquid oils, starting with my castor oil and then my olive oil. I use a little squeeze bottle just to top off the measurement that I need so that I don't go over, because I'm measuring all these ingredients into the same container. If you go over, it's kind of hard to take the ingredient out. Next, I measure my fragrance, and I'm using Moonchild from Brambleberry and also some lime essential oil from Brambleberry. You can see that I'm pouring down a stick just to make sure that the fragrance goes down the stick and not down the side of the bottle. Now let's prepare our colorants. Today, all the colorants I'm using are from Nurture Soap, and our first one is Proud Peacock. You really don't need to use a palette knife and a sheet of plexiglass like I'm using. It's just my preferred method, and when you're using micas, you can mix them straight into your batter. But there are 2 reasons why I don't like to put them straight into my batter. One reason is that you have to stir them in more, and any extra stirring or stick blending is going to cause acceleration of your batter. Also, if you put them in dry, that's going to take up a little bit of the moisture in your batter too, so that also causes acceleration. Our next colorant is Klein Blue. All the colorants that I'm using today, I'm using at a rate of 1.5 teaspoons per pound of oils. And I use Elements Bath & Body's colorant calculator to figure out these colorants. Our next colorant is Cheshire Cat. If you're using oxides, ultramarines, and neons, those are the ones that tend to really clump. And if you use a palette knife to mix those, that really helps to squish out all those little specks. And believe me, you don't want those specks in your soap, because when you cut them, they smear, and even sometimes if they're big enough, if you use the bar, it'll make a streak down your skin. So it's good to get all those little clumps out before you add it to your batter. I have already dispersed my titanium dioxide in olive oil, and I use a rate of 1 part titanium dioxide to 3 parts of olive oil. Next, I add my liquid oils to my melted hard oils. And I just wanted to show you something. See how there's streaks in there? That is from the olive oil. Olive oil has some palmitic acid and a little bit of stearic acid, so that's what makes these streaks. So those are saturated fats. So you just need to stir it in and it'll melt pretty quickly. I soap between temperatures of 85 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 to 35 degrees Celsius. At this point, I add my sodium lactate to my cooled lye water, and then I strain my lye water into my oils. Next, I weigh the bowl and the contents, and I subtract off the weight of the bowl, and then I multiply that by 20%. And that gives me the weight of the turquoise blue and purple. And then the remaining 40% would be the white. Next, I stick blend until an emulsion is reached, and an emulsion is reached when the batter stays mixed and there's no oils floating on the top, and when you look at the bell of your stick blender, there's no little dots that start to separate. You should have a thin, even film of soap on your stick blender. At this point, I split my batter using the numbers that I found earlier. So there will be 3 20% of the batter, and then left in the batter bowl will be 40%. When you're finished splitting your batter, just add the blue, purple, and turquoise to the smaller amounts, and then add the titanium dioxide to the bigger amount of batter. Once my colorants were all mixed in, I added the fragrance, and I just took 20% of the amount and added it. So here I'm adding around 13 grams to each of these, and then the remaining goes in the white. Next, use something to prop up the far side of your mold. So if you're right-handed, that would be your left side, and then prop it up about an inch or an inch and a half, which would be like 2.5 centimeters to 3 centimeters, and then pour a little of your white into your turquoise. I stir my other batters just to make sure they stay fluid while they're kind of waiting to be poured. And I just pour back and forth, and it makes kind of a striation effect. Just pour down the wall of the side that's closest to you, and when it starts to get almost gone, you add the next color and continue to pour. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory just by watching. When I'm finished with this, I cover it and I put it in an oven that's preheated to the lowest temperature. And I just put this in the oven and I turn the oven off. And make sure you turn the oven off. And then I turn the oven light on, and the oven light helps the ambient temperature just to stay warm. And I usually just turn that light off before I go to bed. And then in the morning I take the soap out of the oven and I cut it either that day or the next day. Kind of depends on the humidity. If it's more humid, I leave it in the mold for another day because sometimes it still develops soda ash after I take it out of the oven. But in the wintertime, I don't have problems with that, so I can cut it the first day out of the oven. I want to talk to you a little bit about why I oven process my soap. I used to just use a heating pad, but it seems like oven processing is just easier. And the reason why I do it is I use a water discount in my soap. So if you're using my recipes and you're using my amounts, it's probably a good thing to oven process your soap too. And the reason it is good for that is because the water discount causes the soap to go through saponification a little faster, or it just needs the extra nudge to get all the way through gel because it goes fast and it just sometimes doesn't get all the way through gel out to the edges. So in order to avoid a partial gel, I just want to force it all the way through gel so that there's no rings inside my soap. If you're using full water in your soap, you don't need to oven process your soap. You might get glycerin rivers or even overheating. So if you want your soap to go through gel and you're using full water, you probably could just cover your soap and have it go through gel. Water discounting doesn't make your soap cure any faster. I really believe in using the same 6 weeks for your soap to cure. I think a well-cured bar is so much better when you use it. Water discounting helps with many issues, including soda ash and glycerin rivers. Watch my video that has the black soap with the gold top. I speak about it in that video. I just want to let you know what's going on in my head and what I need to make this work. The ad revenue I'm making off of these videos is not much, and I put a lot of work into these videos, and it's just not equaling out. So in order for me to keep doing this, I need to find another way of making money. And what I've decided to do is just, instead of giving out the recipes, which I've given out a lot of them, I'm going to sell the recipes at my website. These would be recipes that would actually include the measurements and not just the percentages. So you would have your amount in grams and in ounces and temperatures in Fahrenheit and Celsius. And I would do a little outline of what you're supposed to do and link it to the video time so that you can go right to the video and see what I'm doing and then read a little bit about it. This way you could just pick and choose which recipes you want, and it's not a membership or anything. And if I say miss some videos one month, it wouldn't be like a channel membership where you're feeling you're getting gypped because I didn't do a video. This would just be for the videos that I have. I would create a recipe. So let me know what you think about that. Also, I want to let you know a way of supporting your favorite YouTubers that is completely free to you. If you like their video and you comment, and also you subscribe to their channel and hit the bell for notifications, and also you could share their video, that gives the algorithm a cue that their video is worth watching, so it'll recommend that video to other people, so that helps them. But then also let the ads play at least 30 seconds. You could watch the whole ad, but if you just want to watch the first 30 seconds, that really helps your favorite YouTuber out. So these are just ways that you can support that don't cost you anything. If you're interested in joining my Facebook group, I have a link below. It's for troubleshooting and asking questions and sharing what you make. You must join under your personal account and not your business one. Please read the rules and answer the 3 questions. So if you haven't been accepted into the group, it's probably because you haven't answered the questions. Thank you so much to everybody that's placed orders in the last week. I so appreciate that. So just thank you very much. And thank you so much for sticking it out to the end of the video, and have a wonderful day.